I'd like to introduce to you Samuel Matsikure, who's steering committee member of the Global Forum on MSM and HIV from Zimbabwe, and Krista Lauer, policy associate for the Global Forum.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is such a privilege to be standing here today among courageous and most dedicated people that I know in fighting HIV and also fighting for sexual rights. It is also encouraging to hear such message from people that acknowledge our work. We heard this morning from Michelle Sideb that the work that we are doing is bearing fruits. The laws are changing in certain countries, but we still have to forge on. In the last couple of weeks, it has been a tough time for Zimbabwe, especially the gay and lesbian community. Our offices were raided, we had to close down. The community was running scared. Part of that is that the organization is being charged for possession of pornographic materials. And these materials are the materials that we are trying to provide for MSM prevention. So we still have a lot of work to do, but with your support and the messages that keep coming, we are all encouraged. This is not only the acknowledgement for girls only, but it's for all of you who are here from Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the rest of the regions. There are other great people that are doing this work behind that probably are not here, but we also hear other people who are doing this great work that are here. And I'm humbled today to be standing in front of you and saying thank you for giving us this opportunity. And it's from you, the energy that we have each day comes from most of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. In my role, I have the humbling privilege of getting to work with inspiring and extraordinary advocates and implementers like Sam and so many others like him. Thank you all very much for being here today, and as Sam said, for those who could not be here. I also have the privilege today of introducing the moderator of our next session, who is renowned as a passionate and unrelenting advocate, bringing action to bear on addressing the intersection between social injustice and HIV risk. Over the course of his career, he's led the Ontario New Democratic Party and spent nearly 2 decades with the United Nations, serving as Canadian Ambassador to the UN, Deputy Executive Director of UNICEF, and from 2001 to 2006 as the first ever UN Special Envoy for HIV/AIDS in Africa. He currently serves as co-director of AIDS-Free World, as Professor of Global Health at McMaster University, and as Chair of the Board of the Stephen Lewis Foundation. But to be honest, I'm sure that he doesn't need any introduction because you already know him. If you have ever heard him speak, I'm sure you have not forgotten because his words stay with you. He inspires and challenges us all to bring an end to this epidemic and to never lose sight of the urgency of this race against time. He's gone about this work at all levels, ranging from the highest offices of power, recently speaking out at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting against proposed anti-homosexuality legislation, to proposing grassroots action for those in need of support. And here I'd actually like to highlight his Grandmothers to Grandmothers initiative, which to date has raised over $9 million in support of grandmothers in countries in sub-Saharan Africa. And the reason I do that, which is also indicative of his reach, is that my own grandmother told me to tell him when I saw him that she's a supporter of the program. So, for fighting for equality and the HIV response and ensuring that no one is left behind, it's an honor to present a hero of mine, Mr. Stephen Lewis.
That was an entirely amiable and delicious and faintly hyperbolic an introduction, and I deeply appreciate it. I hate holding a microphone in one hand because I require both hands to gesticulate fulsomely in the course of my observations, so I refuse to be constrained by technology, and I'm assuming that I can speak with sufficient rhetorical strength to be heard even unto the farthest corners of the room. I feel immensely privileged to be part of this notable gathering today and to share a platform very shortly with the panelists who will be assembled for the final series of observations, which I shall pretend to moderate simply by introducing them. I sat through this morning's session with, as many of you, an intense fascination, and recognized that many of the themes which I need not reconnoiter yet again were dealt with, whether it was levels of infection or lack of access or human rights or societal homophobia. I'm not going to drive those nails through the wall because they are well and truly understood by everyone in this audience. And I don't want for a moment to depreciate the inestimable difficulties of life which are faced by so many in the MSM movement.